Now we've seen so far that when adding a new field to a report, we see the name of the field in the data section and the label in the label section. We also notice that when we drop a field onto a report, the label is automatically placed into the page header. If I were to remove this first name field and effectively drag it back in, we see that the first name label appears directly above it in the page header, so it's even aligned with it. Very helpful. Sometimes, however, you don't actually want the labels to appear. Perhaps when we're doing a portrait report, a letter even, or a document, and all of these labels appear in the page header are actually annoying, we can turn that feature off. You might not want to see the field names here in the data bit, because that itself can get confusing as well, because the label's the same as the data, and you're not really quite sure which is which. Instead, we can replace the field names on the control part with a mask that denotes the data type. Both of those options are controlled in the same place, which is to go to File and Options. And we can see here the field options. So if I don't actually want to see the field names, I can remove this tick. If I don't want the detail field headings to appear in the page header in this case, then I remove that tick. OK. Now one of those options happens straight away, so we've now lost the field names. We have X's for strings, and you can see when you hover it says string in brackets, with a date format for dates. And if we had a numeric field on there, we'd see a different mask. So let's remove the telephone and place the marital status, which is a number. You can see it then has a number format. This time the label hasn't appeared because we've turned that option off. The fields that already existed on the report with their labels don't suddenly lose their labels, but any new fields we now add on have no labels in place. So you can turn the option off, pull on the fields that you want, and then go turn the option back on so that future fields do have headings. So that one doesn't have a heading because I dragged it in after I made the change. We go back to File, Options, place the tick back in to say, let's have the field headings back, please. OK. And again, it's not retrospective. This one doesn't have a field label still because it didn't have one when we inserted it. If we now drag another field on, because we've turned the option back on, it gets its field label. So it's having the right setting at the right time for what you're trying to do. The option to view a field name or the mask denoting the data type, that's not done for the new fields that are added. That's done for all fields on the report. So that's under File, Options. It's in the same little section. And actually I'd like to see the field names, please. So that's OK. And we then see the field names instead of the masks. So that's a personal preference option, whether you'd like to see the field name or whether you'd like to see the mask. And whether you need the labels or not is usually down to whatever you're doing at that moment in time. Sometimes you do want the headings, as we do here. We've got a tabular report. We'd like headings at the top of each column, and we'd like those headings to line up as they do. If it was a portrait document we were trying to create, we would turn that option off to bring the fields in that we want, and then turn the option back on again. So both of those options are under File and Options, nice and logically, on the Layout tab. So that's the first one that appears. And it's these two options here under Field Options.